Cristiano Ronaldo's return to Manchester United. For a full 24 hours in August 2021, football lived in absolute chaos. Every headline screamed that Cristiano Ronaldo was joining Manchester City. United fans were having complete meltdowns, imagining their former prince in sky blue. City supporters were already designing celebration banners. Then, Sir Alex Ferguson made one phone call. One conversation with his former protégé flipped the entire script. Within hours, social media exploded with images of Ronaldo holding that iconic number 7 shirt, grinning like he'd never left Old Trafford. The stadium bounced like it was 2003 all over again. The same man who nearly shattered United hearts by joining their bitter rivals had instead delivered the most dramatic homecoming in sports history. Unfortunately, maybe some fairy tales are too perfect for reality to handle. That perfection, that storybook return, contained the very seeds of its own destruction. The dream was so beautiful, it was destined to become a nightmare. And it did. But ask any United fan today, and despite everything that followed, they'd take him back tomorrow just to feel that euphoria against Newcastle one more time. Leicester City winning the Premier League. Leicester fans were still nursing wounds from their miraculous relegation escape just months before. Teams that barely survive the drop don't become champions. That's not how football's cruel universe operates. But week after week, something impossible kept unfolding. Jamie Vardy transformed from non-league journeyman to record-breaking goal machine. Riyad Mahrez danced through defences like they were training cones. N'Golo Kante covered every blade of grass like there were 5 of him. Pundits kept waiting for reality to bite back hard. This couldn't last. Arsenal would surely mingle into the mix. This had to be Tottenham's year, right? Manchester City would wake up and flex their unlimited oil money. That never happened, and Leicester just kept defying every law of football physics. By May, Claudio Ranieri's band of misfits had completed the greatest underdog story in sports history, lifting the Premier League trophy as 5,000-to-1 odds outsiders. Even today, saying Leicester City Premier League champions feels like pure fantasy. Sergio Aguero's title winner. City needed just one goal against relegation battling QPR to end 44 years of Manchester Blue heartbreak. But with injury time ticking away like a death clock, they were drawing 2-2. Across Manchester, United fans were already tasting champagne. They were literally seconds away from yet another title. Then 93 minutes and 20 seconds happened. The ball fell to Sergio Aguero. One touch to control, another to create space. Then he unleashed absolute thunder into the bottom corner. Martin Tyler's voice cracked across the airwaves.
Aguero! Staggering! Just staggering!
The football world stopped breathing entirely. QPR players collapsed like they'd been struck by lightning. City fans invaded the pitch in pure, unhinged delirium. United's premature celebration died in their throats like poison. That goal didn't just win a title, it rewrote Manchester's DNA forever. The script was so impossibly perfect that even Hollywood would call it unrealistic. Some moments transcend sport and become cultural earthquakes that still echo today. Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer's fight. Newcastle fans had witnessed plenty of drama at St James's Park, but April 2, 2005 broke new ground entirely. Trailing 3-0 to Aston Villa, frustration boiled over in the most unthinkable way imaginable. These weren't opposing players having a scuffle. This wasn't even a training ground disagreement. Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer, teammates wearing identical black and white stripes, started throwing punches at each other in front of 52,000 stunned spectators. The argument started over passing. Bowyer demanded the ball, complaining, "You never pass to me." Dyer's brutal response, "The reason I don't pass you the ball is because you're effing S." Shirts were grabbed, fists flew, and referee Barry Knight stood frozen in complete disbelief. Both received red cards, leaving Newcastle with 9 men and their dignity scattered across the pitch like confetti. The sight of professional footballers destroying each other while wearing the same shirt still feels like footage from a comedy sketch. In a sport built on sacred unity, watching two players wage brutal war against their own teammate remains one of football's most surreal breakdowns. Luis Suarez bites Branislav Ivanovic. Liverpool were desperately chasing their first title in decades when Luis Suarez completely lost his mind in the most shocking way possible. On April 21, 2013, tangling with Branislav Ivanovic in the penalty area during what seemed like a routine challenge, Suarez suddenly sank his teeth deep into the Chelsea defender's arm like a playground dispute gone absolutely nuclear. On live television, in front of millions of horrified viewers, Ivanovic pulled away in pure shock, showing the clear bite marks to an incredulous referee like evidence of a crime. The incident was missed by the referee, but TV cameras captured everything. The replays went viral instantly, breaking the internet before that was even a common phrase. Suarez received a 10-game ban and global ridicule, but the sheer mind-bending absurdity never faded. Here's the cruel irony. Suarez went on to score an equaliser in injury time after biting his opponent. Watching a grown professional footballer bite an opponent during elite competition still feels like disturbing fever dream material. Wayne Rooney's bicycle kick. Wayne Rooney had just committed the ultimate unforgivable betrayal. In October 2010, he questioned United's ambition and flirted dangerously with a move to Manchester City. Fans felt stabbed by their golden boy. The relationship looked shattered beyond any possible repair. Then came February 12, 2011, and football's most perfect redemption story unfolded like destiny itself. Nani's cross deflected high into the penalty area, hanging like a gift from the football gods. Rooney launched himself backward through the air and connected with an overhead bicycle kick in the 78th minute. The ball rocketed past Joe Hart with absolutely unstoppable force. Old Trafford exploded in pure ecstasy and instant forgiveness. Against City, the very club he'd nearly betrayed them for. In one moment of breathtaking brilliance, months of bitter doubt evaporated completely. After the match, Rooney said it was the best goal of his career, before Sir Alex Ferguson described the strike as the best goal he had ever witnessed at Old Trafford. The poetry was too beautiful to believe, but Rooney's bicycle kick actually happened. The beach ball goal. October 17, 2009. Liverpool were desperately struggling in 7th place when football's weirdest goal happened at the Stadium of Light. A red Liverpool-branded beach ball had been thrown onto the pitch by 16-year-old Liverpool fan named Callum Campbell and was sitting innocently near the penalty area. 5 minutes into the match, Darren Bent, shaped to shoot, struck the ball toward goal, but instead of finding the net, his effort cannoned straight off the beach ball and wrong-footed Pepe Reina completely. The deflection sent the actual football spinning into the bottom corner, while the beach ball bounced away like it had orchestrated the whole thing. Referee Mike Jones awarded the goal despite Liverpool's furious protests. The cruel irony? The goal shouldn't have stood. It was outside interference that should have stopped play. Sunderland won 1-0 thanks to an inflatable piece of plastic thrown by Liverpool's own fan. Young Callum received death threats from fans worldwide after his innocent beach ball caused the most absurd winning strike in Premier League history. Watching Reina's confusion never gets old. Paolo Di Canio shoves the referee. Paolo Di Canio was known for his fiery temperament, but what happened on September 26, 1998 defied all sanity. Playing for Sheffield Wednesday against Arsenal at Hillsborough, the Italian was sent off after a heated confrontation with Martin Keown following a Patrick Vieira incident. Instead of walking toward the tunnel like every professional footballer in history, Di Canio marched straight at referee Paul Alcock and shoved him square in the chest. Alcock stumbled backward like he'd been hit by a freight train before crashing theatrically to the turf, though he later insisted the fall was genuine. The crowd of 27,949 gasped in unison, while players from both teams stood paralysed in disbelief. Di Canio casually strolled away, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. An 11-game ban and £10,000 fine followed, ending his Sheffield Wednesday career instantly. The club abandoned him completely. No phone calls, no support, forcing him to Italy. The sight of a professional player physically assaulting a match official still feels like staged theatre, rather than actual Premier League history. David Beckham leaves Manchester United. David Beckham was Manchester United incarnate. Academy graduate, number 7 shirt, England captain, global superstar. Old Trafford was his spiritual home, and fans assumed he'd retire there wearing red. But behind the perfect facade, his relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson was crumbling over corporate distractions and celebrity lifestyle. The infamous boot incident on February 15, 2003 became the final straw. After United's 2-0 FA Cup defeat to Arsenal, Ferguson erupted in the dressing room. When Beckham swore back at his manager, Ferguson kicked a stray boot in rage that flew with surgical precision, striking Beckham above the eye and leaving a visible cut. Instead of hiding the wound, Beckham appeared in public wearing an Alice band, showcasing the injury to photographers. That summer, Real Madrid's Galactico project came calling with €35 million. Seeing Beckham posing in pristine white alongside Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo and Luis Figo felt like watching family betray family. United fans couldn't process their poster boy joining foreign royalty. Even now, Beckham in Madrid colours looks digitally manipulated. Some transfers were never supposed to happen, and this felt like one of them. Joey Barton's meltdown. The 2011-12 season finale belonged to City's title chase, but Joey Barton decided to steal the spotlight through sheer insanity. With QPR fighting relegation and emotions running volcanic, Barton completely imploded in 5 catastrophic minutes. In the 55th minute, he elbowed Carlos Tevez in the face. Red card. Walking toward the tunnel, he kicked Sergio Aguero in the back of the legs like a petulant child. Then he attempted to headbutt Vincent Kompany before teammates physically dragged him away. But here's the twisted part. Barton later admitted it was a cold, calculated decision to try taking a City player with him. The title race was already a scriptwriter's dream, but Barton transforming it into his personal meltdown show took it to another level. His 12-game ban and £75,000 fine couldn't erase the embarrassment. His self-destruction tried to overshadow one of football's greatest days, but failed spectacularly. Watching a professional athlete disintegrate on such a massive stage felt like witnessing a psychotic episode hidden behind a football game. Steven Gerrard's slip. Liverpool hadn't tasted league glory in 24 agonising years. Their captain, Steven Gerrard, had just delivered his passionate rallying cry after beating Manchester City. The irony was already being written in the stars. 3 games later at Anfield, Chelsea arrived to spoil the dream, with a weakened side that should have been easy prey. In the 45th minute, Gerrard received a routine pass from Mamadou Sakho. The ball stuck slightly under his foot, his standing leg betrayed him, and suddenly Demba Ba was racing through on goal. One clinical finish past Simon Mignolet, and Liverpool's title challenge lay in ruins. That slip didn't just cost 2 points, it unravelled an entire season's work built on those very words. This does not slip. The cruelest twist in Premier League history happened to its most devoted servant, with his own prophecy becoming his curse. Thierry Henry's return goal. Thierry Henry had already achieved immortality at Arsenal when he departed for Barcelona in 2007. But football's most romantic chapter was still unwritten. In January 2012, on loan from New York Red Bulls, the King returned to North London for one magical curtain call. Against Leeds United in the FA Cup third round, Henry emerged from the bench in the 68th minute wearing an unfamiliar number 12 shirt to thunderous applause that shook the Emirates' foundations. 10 minutes later, he curled home a trademark finish with that effortless elegance that defined his career. The stadium erupted like a volcano. Grown men wept openly in the stands. Henry celebrated with arms outstretched, savouring every impossible second. It wasn't a Premier League match, but the goal made it feel like more than a cup game against a championship side. Pure nostalgia coming alive. Henry later called it his favourite Arsenal goal because he scored it as a fan. Fairy tales don't usually play out in real life, but this one actually did. Carlos Tevez switches Manchester sides. Carlos Tevez was worshipped at Manchester United. His bulldog spirit, relentless work ethic, and clutch goals had transformed him into a cult hero alongside Rooney and Ronaldo in their devastating front three. Then summer 2009 arrived like a nuclear bomb. Despite United offering to meet his £25.5 million buyout clause and a 5-year contract, Tevez crossed the City divide to join Manchester City for an undisclosed fee. The betrayal cut deep, but City's billboard campaign twisted the knife even harder. Welcome to Manchester plastered across the city centre with Tevez's face grinning back mockingly. United fans felt physically nauseous. Their warrior had joined the noisy neighbours and was being used as a weapon against them. Ferguson fumed. They are a small club with a small mentality. The following derby turned toxic beyond recognition. Tevez scored against his former club and celebrated like his life depended on it. Switching sides in the same city remains football's ultimate act of betrayal. Andrei Arshavin scores 4. Andrei Arshavin's Arsenal career had been frustratingly inconsistent until April 21, 2009 changed everything. At Anfield, against a Liverpool side desperately chasing the title and needing 3 points to maintain pressure on Manchester United, the little Russian delivered a performance that defied all logic in a pulsating 4-4 draw. Every time Liverpool struck, Arshavin answered with something magical. His first goal showcased intelligent positioning. His second demonstrated ice-cold finishing under pressure. His third displayed perfect technical execution from 25 yards after robbing Arbeloa. His fourth in the 90th minute left him looking as shocked as everyone else in the stadium. Though Benayoun equalised in injury time, it couldn't take anything away from Arshavin's performance. 4 goals away at Liverpool during a title race from a player many had written off as an inconsistent luxury signing. Arshavin's bewildered expression after his final strike said everything. Even he couldn't fathom what had just unfolded. The performance transformed an inconsistent winger into Premier League folklore overnight. Eric Cantona's Kung Fu Kick. Eric Cantona was already football royalty when January 25, 1995 happened. Sent off at Selhurst Park for kicking Richard Shaw, the Frenchman walked toward the tunnel like any other dismissal. Then Crystal Palace fan Matthew Simmons hurled abuse from the stands. According to Cantona, he said, "F off back to France, you French bastard," and aiming abuse towards his mother's name. What happened next shattered every boundary of professional sport. Cantona launched himself feet first into the crowd, delivering a kung fu kick that sent Simmons tumbling backward before unleashing a flurry of punches. Chaos erupted instantly. Fists flew from every direction. Police sprinted across the pitch. The King of Old Trafford had just attacked a spectator during live television coverage. 8 months banned, 2-week jail sentence reduced to community service, global headlines screaming about football's darkest hour. Yet somehow, Cantona returned more beloved than ever. Michael Owen's match-winning goal for United. September 2009's Manchester derby was already insanity by the 90th minute. City had fought back from 1-0 down to lead 3-1. Then United roared back to level at 3-3 through 2 incredible strikes from Darren Fletcher. Old Trafford was delirious chaos incarnate. Then came minute 96 of pure theatre. Ryan Giggs, displaying the vision that defined his career, slipped a perfectly weighted pass through City's exhausted defence. Michael Owen, the former Liverpool golden boy, whose controversial move to United had disgusted his former Anfield faithfuls, stayed calm as Arctic ice and slotted past Shay Given. Fergie time had delivered its most devastating blow. Owen wheeled away in ecstasy while City players collapsed in agony. A match that already had everything suddenly possessed even more. Despised by Liverpool fans for joining their arch-rivals, the timing, and against United's other true rival, every element feels orchestrated by mischievous football gods plotting the perfect betrayal. Arsenal's invincible season. Going unbeaten across 38 Premier League games sounds impossible because it should be impossible. Every team suffers bad days, key injuries, questionable referee decisions, or plain rotten luck. But Arsenal in 2003-04 broke every rule of what was possible in football. Thierry Henry glided through defences. Patrick Vieira dominated every midfield battle with the authority of a field marshal. The back four moved with telepathic understanding. Week after week, fans held their breath waiting for the inevitable stumble. It never came. They became the Invincibles, the only team in modern history to achieve perfection across an entire campaign. Manchester United with Ferguson's genius couldn't do it. Chelsea with Abramovich's billions couldn't do it. Manchester City with Guardiola's tactical brilliance couldn't do it. Arsenal did it once, and may have cursed them ever since. 21 years later, it still feels like mythology that will never be recreated in football's increasingly competitive landscape.
Luis Suarez's Norwich performance. Norwich City had become Luis Suarez's personal playground. But what happened on December 4, 2013, transcended even his usual brilliance against the Canaries. Liverpool were chasing their first title in 24 years when Norwich arrived at Anfield like lambs to the slaughter. Nobody expected the carnage that followed. Suarez had already scored hat-tricks against Norwich twice before, but this felt different from the opening whistle. His first goal after 15 minutes defied physics itself. Spotting John Ruddy marginally out of position from 35 yards, Suarez launched a looping lob that dive-bombed over the helpless goalkeeper like a guided missile. The Kop erupted, sensing something magical brewing. His second showcased pure predatory instinct, but the third goal belonged in an art gallery. Suarez juggled the ball forward, flicked it over a Norwich defender's head, and volleyed home from outside the penalty area with technique that would make Pelé weep. The crowd witnessed footballing poetry in motion. Then came the coup de grace, a 25-yard free kick that bent around the wall and nestled in the bottom corner like it was following GPS coordinates. All different, all spectacular, all against the same helpless opponents who had become his personal victims. Steven Gerrard called it probably one of the best individual performances I've seen at Anfield, and declared Suarez was getting close to the main two, Ronaldo and Messi. Suarez became the first Liverpool player ever to score 3 hat-tricks against the same club, and the first in Premier League history to achieve this feat. The Uruguayan finished with 12 goals in 6 matches against Norwich, a record that still sounds fabricated. Watching one player systematically dismantle the same team with such ruthless precision felt like watching a video game cheat code come to life. The 5-1 scoreline barely told the story of Suarez's individual masterpiece that December evening. And that's the beauty of the Premier League. From impossible fairy tales to absurd scandals so unbelievable you have to remind yourself they actually happened. Make sure to subscribe if you want more stories on the Premier League's greatest moments.